Guys, today I'll be going over how to create a combat system. So before I start, I want to outline how I'm going to go about teaching this. So we're going to split this course into multiple episodes so that I have enough time to kind of explain and go in depth for the code for each episode. And for this first episode, we're going to focus on like the fundamentals of a combat system, like what systems I'm going to use and the framework and stuff like that. So with that out the way, let's start. So for my combat system, I usually split it into three categories: the framework, the code, and the assets. The framework is basically how I organize the system. The code is self-explanatory, it's just a script. And the assets are stuff like the animations, the effects, etc. And in this episode, and probably for the next one or two, we will focus on the client side of our combat system. So stuff like the keybinds, the handling the animation playing, and the camera effects. Those are all client side things. So yeah. So before I start the script, I'm gonna go over how I'll be organizing the system. And the first way is that I'll be using a something called a state machine to kind of help me with creating the system. So I'm gonna go here and show you what a state machine is with this diagram that I made. So if I drag this out real quick, y'all can see that I made a diagram right here, and it has like the different states that you would be in combat, right? Like you'd be idle, you would be attacking, you would be blocking, or you would be dashing. Just the basic states, nothing too advanced yet. And basically, um, each of these boxes, they're a different state in our combat system. So idle would be like, maybe you're not in combat, you haven't equipped your combat yet. Attack would obviously be when you're attacking. Blocking and dashing is when you're dashing away, right? And in a state machine, you can't be in more than one state. Y'all are probably confused about how I would go about implementing this in code. So I'm gonna go and I'll show y'all how I'll do it in this episode. So let's start the code. So let's go into Studio, and you want to open a blank or an existing place. So I have one set up right now. I have nothing in it except just some lighting changes. So yeah, don't worry about that. So yeah, just a blank base plate. I have some lighting changes, but that's about it. So here, what we want to do is we're going to go into start a character scripts. I don't know why I have this. Let me delete this. And let's create a local script. And let's call it combat. And inside the local script, I'm going to have a module script. And I'm going to call it handler. The module script will basically just contain all the functions and stuff, so my local script doesn't get too many lines of code. It looks clean and organized, stuff like that. So we're obviously going to rename this module script. So local handler is equal to this, return handler, and then it's our combat script. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to get the user input service so you can handle the player's inputs and keybinds and stuff like that. So let's start off with that. Local user input, oops, I kind of do caps lock. There we go. User input service is equal to game get service, user input service, and then user input service dot input begin connect function. Let's go with input game processed event. So the two parameters input and game process event, you don't really need to know about game process event too much. It's just Basically, whether you're typing in chat or not, it's a boolean, so it returns true or false depending on if you're typing in the chat or not. And then input is just basically what did you click, you know, if you're on console, keyboard, or mobile. So yeah, start off with input. So if input dot key code is equal to, and for this, let's store our keybinds somewhere. So usually I would store my keybinds like in a separate module script or something, but since this isn't going to be like a large scaled game, I'm just going to store them right, let's see. Yeah, let's just store them in here. So yeah, local do handler dot keybinds equal to, and then so the first keybind that we want to have is one to get into combat, so call it combat to toggle combat. Have it set to key code. C. So I've set to C for now. So C to get into combat, and then what's the next one? Attack. So have it your right mouse button, or sorry, left mouse button. So attack is equal to so here we call it mouse button 1. Oh, it's enum that user input type dot mouse button 1, and then the last one would be, or no, we have two more. We have one for block. So block is equal to user input type. So it's gonna be our left, or no, our right mouse button. So it's gonna be mouse button 2, and then what? We have dash. So dash. Let's have it as Q for now. Or yeah. So key code dot Q. And just for organization, I'm just gonna store dash up here, so it's with like the key codes and not, you know, sandwiching the user input types. Like, so I'm gonna have the key codes up here and the user input types down here. Okay, so now we have the keybind set up. Let's go and let's check the input. So if input that, we already got that. So if input dot key code is equal to, and then we want to get this module script. So do local handler is equal to require and then script dot handler, and then we get handler dot keybind. So basically we're accessing the module script, and then we're getting the keybinds table from the module script, and then now we're just going to get whatever keybind we want to get. So we want to get the one for combat, so right here. And then we're just going to put print. For now we're going to do print and then toggled combat. So yeah, and now let's just set up all the other keybinds as well. Else if dot key code is equal to handler dot keybinds dot dash, then print dash, and just to make sure that I maintain consistency in my code, I want to make sure I use the single quotes. Doesn't matter what quotes are used. I'm just trying out a new style. Next, I want to get the attack and block. So let's do that. Input dot key code, or no, input dot user input type handler dot keybinds dot, and we're gonna get attack, then print attack, and then else if handler dot block, then block. All right, and then obviously when you block, you hold it down to, you know, block, and then you let go to unblock. So we're gonna go and get the input ended to see when you let go of a key. So user service dot input ended, and I'll explain this right after I finish this coding this. So connect function input game processed event, and then if input.key code is equal to handler.keybinds.block, then print unblock. Okay, now that we have this, let's see if it works. Alright, so it says we have an error in the console and saying handler is not a valid member of local script. So basically, what that means is that the script thinks that the handler is not inside our local script. So a possible reason for this could be that the handler module script did not load in, um, and I called its reference before it loaded in. So we're just gonna have something called wait for child, so that it waits for the script to load in, or the objects. For some reason I'm falling off the map. I'm gonna have a spawn location. So the spawn location back here. There we go. Alright, let's see. Okay, so I'm clicking my attack key and it's attacking, or it's printing attack in the output window, and then I clicked block and it's printed block, but I'm holding it down. Now if I let go it should print unblock, but it didn't. So let's see why it did not print unblock. So if we go back here, let's have a print statement for when you, oh there it is. I put key code instead of user input type. There we go. Yeah, just watch out for these silly mistakes. But it should work now. Click attack, it's attacking. Holding down block, letting go of block. What else? Oh, toggle combat. C and dash Q. Okay, so our keybinds are working. Now we need to make sure that obviously you can only, attack and block and dash when you're in combat. Um, and we have to keep track of if you're attacking, you're blocking, or you're dashing. So let's do that. So to do that, I'm gonna use something called the state machine that I referenced before. So basically, how I'm gonna do it, I used to use object-oriented programming to um, work with a state machine. So if you don't know what object-oriented programming is, then you don't have to worry about it. You can skip past this part. But basically, I used to use it, but I stopped using it because I just find it more convenient not to use it for at least my combat systems. But it's still useful for other cases, but I'm just not going to use it for this one combat system. So let's start this. So we're going to have a variable here called our state. So basically, this variable is going to be what state we're in, whether we're in idle, attack, block, or dash. And I'm going to have another state, and let's call the state default. So let me move these out the way. And then I'm going to have this state, let's call it default. And basically, it's just going to be when you're not in combat, you're in this state. And we might want to dash when we're in that state, right? So I think you don't only want to be in combat to dash. I think a lot of games have it where you can not be in combat and still dash. So we're just going to make new arrows here. So you can go here, and obviously one thing that I forgot to mention about state machines is that once a state is over, like once you attack and your attack animation is over, then you go back to the previous state, which is idle. You don't just stay in the attack state. So I will explain that, or I will demonstrate that with the code, but that's why I'm drawing these arrows back to where they came from. So back here, and then also if you dash while you're in the idle, you wanna, so if you dash while you're in the idle state, you also want to be able to go back to the idle state. Oh, there. So yeah, there you go. So basically you can dash when you're in combat or out of combat. So I have two arrows for this. But it'll be a lot simpler when I put in code. So yeah, let's start. What the? Okay. So, um, how are we doing this? Okay, so yeah, this holds the current state. We're gonna have that set to nil for now. And we're gonna create a function called init. And basically what it does is just initialize the combat system. I use it to just like set all the variables to like whatever it need to be and um, get the required parameters for the combat system. If you use object-oriented programming, it's something like the .new function. But for this, I'm just going to use init because I'm not using object-oriented programming. So let's do that. So handler.init. Oh, I've called it a function. All right, function handler.init, and basically we're just going to set this state equal to default. Or actually, um, I'm gonna make a change to the state machine. I'm going to set this to nil. So basically, when you don't have a value of your state variable, that's gonna mean that you're not in combat. So we're gonna have it set to nil. So if it's now, nil means that it has no value. So it's gonna, if you check, like if you do something like print handler.state and it's nil, then it's just gonna print like no, nothing. So if there is no value to it, that means you're not in combat. So let's not have that yet. Let's set up the function. So function. So we want to create a function to get the state. Function handler that get state and return handler that state. Basically, when you call this function, it just gives you the value of the handler dot state. You can also just check the value of handler dot state, but I prefer calling the function. So yeah, then function handler that update state, and basically we're going to take a parameter called the another state, and it's going to be a string. And so we're going to get this parameter, and then we're going to just do handler dot state is equal to state. Okay, so we got that. And then we want to have a couple of states set up, right? So let's have this function handler that combat. So just to toggle the combat. So we're going to do print. So we're going to do in combat. We're going to take that parameter, and it's going to be a boolean instead of boolean. And we're just going to have this function. And let's see. So print state, and yeah, let's go with this. Handler dot update state combat. Handler dot update state dash Handler the update state. Handler the update state attack. Handler the update state block. And then obviously when you unblock, let's go back to the state machine. So when you get out of the block state, this arrow leads back to the idle state. So you want to go back to whatever we call the idle state, which in this case would be combat. Handler the update state combat. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to change um, this to idle, actually. And then just change these single quotes real quick. So now we have um, our basic update state, and we're going to test to see if it works. So I press C, idle, I press the attack, and I'm attacking, blocking, idle, and so basically when I let go of block, it prints idle because you're going back to the idle state. And oh, dash. Okay, so that works. Now what we're gonna do is so you can only, so according to our diagram right here, you can only attack or block if you're in the idle state. So let's do that. So we're gonna get here, wherever our, oh, right here. So attack. So if handler that get state equals attack, then handler update state. Oh, oops. Idle, then we can update it to attack. If handler get state is equal to attack, or sorry, idle, then handler update state block, and then right here. So when we let go of block, we want to be in the block state so we can go back to idle. So let's do that. So if handler get state is equal to block, oh, we have a typo here. Then handler is state idle, and let's see if it works. Oh, also, oops. When you toggle combat, we need to set that. So basically, so if you're in no state and you press C, you want to go to the idle state right here. But if you're in the idle state and you press C, you're gonna come back to get out of combat to this no state. So let's do that. So if handler, oh, what the, oh, okay, got it. So if handler get state equal to idle, or yeah, then, or actually, if not handler get state, so basically it's going to be nil, then get us into the idle state. Else if handler get state is equal to idle, then handler update state, and then nothing. Can I put nil? Oh, I'll just have an if statement. So if state, then handler.state is equal to state. Actually, I don't think I need that. I'm just gonna remove this right here. Oh, and let me get rid of this. Actually, no. Okay, should work. Let's see. So I press C, I'm in combat. I pressed C again, I'm out of combat. Now if I press C again and I try to, click any of my attack buttons or my block buttons, it doesn't work. But if I click my dash button, it should work. Let me see my code for that real quick. Yeah, that works. And then if I click C again, okay, so that's not working. I think I know why. So I'm in the dash state, but I never get out of the dash state. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna do an if statement right here. So if handler gets, oh no, just if state is equal to dash, then handler dot dash, and then it's gonna have a function here for dash, and we're just gonna leave it empty for now. We're just gonna do task.wait 0.5 handler update state idle. Yeah, or okay. So this is like kind of like a duct tape fix right now, just so I can see the output to work. But basically, what I did was, um, so when you dash, uh, this gets, your state obviously, and it updates your state right here, the variable. And here's the if statement, and if your state is equal to dash, then it runs the function for it, which basically just says wait 0.5 seconds, and then update your state back to idle for now. So if I click Q, it dashes 0.5 seconds later, we're in idle. Now, obviously, we don't want that in our actual game because if you're not in the combat, um, mode, and you dash, you don't want to go back into the combat mode. You want to go back into um, whatever mode you were in before that. So, yeah. So for now, it's like a duct tape fix, but yeah. So now that we're in the idle state, we can attack, we can block. Oh, so also we have to get out the attack state obviously as well. So have a function for that. So else if state is equal to attack, then handler dot attack, and then I'll just have it right here. Function handler dot attack, and we're just gonna copy and paste this. Just go back to the idle state, and it should work now. So we're in the idle state, attack, we go back to idle state, block, unblock, you're in idle state, dash, and you're back in idle state. So it works. And now I just clicked C again to get out of our combat system. So far our little mini state machine here works. So this is all our input handling, and this is kind of just our states. So yeah, this is the intro, and I'll be continuing this in the next episode. But thanks for watching.